in the stupidest story of the day, because everything is racist, there is now an outcry against Avatar. So let it be known, I'm not an Avatar fan. I think that Avatar is a wildly overrated movie. Blue Pocahontas or Fern Gully, the 3D, well, it was not my favorite movie. It is good to look at, and it is incredibly stupid. Well, now apparently people are angry at Avatar, not because it's a dumb movie. They're angry at Avatar because it offends indigenous sensibilities. Well, first of all, I wasn't aware that there are 11-foot tall blue indigenous people on the earth. So I'm not sure exactly what indigenous sensibilities are being offended right here. Are there members of the Pandoran community who are deeply offended by their depiction in Avatar? It is literally a sci-fi movie about another planet far, far away involving 11-foot blue people who can be inhabited by the spirits of others and who apparently ride their horses in the same way that they have sex. It's a very, very weird movie. I know, think about it. If you actually watch the movie, that's actually what happens. They plug into their horse to ride their horse the same way that they plug into one another to have sexual relations, which raises some very odd questions about the relations between the Pandoran population and their animal population. In any case, the Washington Post has an entire piece about this. Quote, "The release of Avatar, The Way of Water, has put the series' creator in hot water yet again, as indigenous people criticize what they call the movie's glamorization of colonialism and racist depiction of native people and culture. When the original Avatar came out in 2009, the science fiction fantasies, robust 3D effects, and stunning visuals drove it to become the highest-grossing film of all time. But indigenous critics say the problematic pitfalls of the first Avatar movie reappear in the sequel, namely in its portrayal of the Na'vi, the movie's alien species inspired by several Native American tribes around the world. The oceanic Na'vi clan that's central to the second film was heavily influenced by the Maori, the indigenous Polynesian people of New Zealand. Cheney Poole, 27, from Christchurch, New Zealand, known as Atautahi Aotearoa in the Maori language, forgive me my mispronunciation, calls the film's portrayal, quote, just another example of the very same upfront and apparent romanticization of colonialization, of colonization. It very much romanticizes the idea of what not only Maori are going through, but many indigenous cultures around the world, and almost downplays the suffering, both from the past and the present." What? First of all, I never heard of this person, and I guess this person is happy they get to be in the Washington Post, but you're offended by a movie about 11-foot tall blue natives on a planet called Pandora, where the chief resource is idiotically called unobtainium because it's unobtainable. Unobtainium. Again, this is one of the dumbest movies ever produced. We'll get to more on this insanity in just one second. First, it's really tough to run a business. Right now, during the holiday season, it's really hard to find people who are actually willing to work. This means that you need the best possible way of getting the best possible employees, and this is why we here at Daily Wire use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes hiring during the holiday season so much easier. We're constantly using ZipRecruiter to fill job openings here at Daily Wire. You can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/DailyWire. ZipRecruiter uses powerful technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job. You can easily review these recommended candidates and send a personal invite to your top choices, so they're much more likely to apply. ZipRecruiter has an easy-to-use dashboard with a complete suite of tools that let you filter, review, and rate your candidates all from one place. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within day 1. Discover the joy of hiring with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers, as we say, who post on ZipRecruiter will get that quality candidate. You should be one of those employers. See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free, ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/DAILYWIRE. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. The people who have been victimized historically are always right. It's not up to me, speaking from perspective of white privilege, if you will, to tell them that they're wrong, said James Cameron. Wait, hold up. People who have been victimized historically are always right? Always? Forever? Like on everything? I feel like it's a dumb standard by James Cameron, but then again, his movies outside of T2 are pretty dumb. The plot of the first movie, in which white human outsider Jake Sully infiltrates the Na'vi to save them from a corporation trying to exploit environmental resources from their land of Pandora, raised concern from indigenous groups. Cameron told Unilad he believes the new movie was able to sidestep that white savior motif. Lailatol Fitria, who researches decoloniality as an assistant professor at Claremont School of Theology. Man, we have way too many professional pseudo-academics. And we have an entire department researching decoloniality at Claremont School of Theology. Man, professional useless people. Said she had no interest in watching the sequel after she recently watched the first movie for the first time. Fitria said she was appalled that Jake became a Na'vi in that film, playing into what she called the colonialist trope that a foreigner can easily go native by looking the part and learning what's implied to be a primitive culture. So she also dances with wolves blue dances with wolves is very upsetting to this rando. The second movie was not much better, thought Manatine, a 19-year-old from Queensland, Australia, who is Maori. In it, Jake is now a Na'vi clan leader, and Tyne was offended by how the film reduces tamoko, a type of tattoo that is culturally significant and readable for Maori people, to abstract, meaningless shapes that serve more as an aesthetic on the characters' faces and bodies. Wait, so hold up. You're mad if they put the Maori tattoos that look like Maori tattoos on the characters in the movie. If they were actually to read like Maori tattoos, then it would make them more like the Maori, which would be more insulting. But also, if they don't quite look like that, then they're more insulting because they're not that. I feel like unfalsifiability is a thing with some of these folks. Tyne said, I'd love to see more Maori people and culture represented on screen, but I want to see Maori people playing them. Why do you want to see Maori people playing giant 11-foot-tall blue people? I don't want to have to sacrifice the significance of our practices that have already lost so much through colonialism. It's so tiresome. It's so tiresome. Autumn Asher Blackdeer, an assistant professor in the Graduate School of Social Work at the University of Denver. Again, why are we should not relieve student loan debt, not one iota. If you go to the University of Denver to major in the Graduate School of Social Work, Autumn Asher Blackdeer said the Avatar movies also add to the monolithic portrayal of Native people commonly used in media. The Na'vi are mystical and solemn, noble savages, she said, with stereotypically angular cheekbones and long hair and braids. They also have physical characteristic Blackdeer's tribe, Southern Cheyenne, is known for pronounced noses. This sounds kind of racist, like the only people who have pronounced noses are Southern Cheyenne or something. As a member of a historically persecuted people who are stereotypically told they have large noses, no. She said that because the movies draw from multiple indigenous tribes, it can imply all Native people are the same. So if you're too specific, you're making fun of one Native tribe. If you're broad enough that you encompass many Native tribes, then you're too general. And the professional offended are a class in the United States. They really are. And they're unbelievably tiresome. Again, I'm not standing for Avatar. It looks really stupid. I haven't seen the sequel yet because, frankly, I don't have 9 hours of my life to spare for that yet. But, we're going to pretend that we're all deeply offended by this? Seriously? Okay, so I do have one piece of good news. So the New York Times has an article called Quiz. You can't say that, or can you? And it asks people to, like a survey on whether they would say the following words. And it turns out that most people are relatively sane in the United States, even many New York Times readers. So only 16% of 10% of people said they would use the term chest feeding, which is good. Only 10% of people. Only 22% of people said they would use the term Latinx. And only 30% of people said they would use the term BIPOC. 34% of people said they would use the term birthing parents. That one is starting to infuse the culture. However, some 86% of Americans who are surveyed by the New York Times say they would use the term pregnant women. And 85% said they would use the term breastfeeding. And 84% said they would use the term master bedroom. So perhaps the woke linguistic crowd has not completely taken over as of yet. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the January 6th committee report, but more importantly, we'll be having on Dr. Robert Malone, famous for having been essentially censored by all of media for his questions about vaccination. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.